That
Okay.
again. Okay. Hello there. I am Dr. Jen, and this is my life as a landlord. I am so excited you have joined us for today's show. And yeah, admittedly, we're going to get a little nerdy today.
Mhm.
I'm excited because my guest is excited. I love it when we nerd out. This is so cool. I am so pleased to have Tommy Whitehead joining us all the way from Tampa, Florida, who is not only a seasoned general contractor, he's overseen 3,000, lots of zeros, renovations in the Southeast. He's also got a media company going on, and he's an absolute wizard when it comes to implementing artificial intelligence into the construction space. Recently traveled to Europe to talk about this. He's going to tell us all about it. And ultimately, we're learning about how to write better scopes of work, evaluate contractor bids fairly, and maybe even save you from the dreaded renovation nightmare. Plus, you'll hear from some of his craziest stories about, well, I don't know, tenant landlord, stuff. And we're going to nerd out for sure, no question. Tommy, welcome to the show.
Dr. Jen, that is one of the most enthusiastic and fun introductions I've ever had. I've probably been on hundreds of these news stations, podcasts, speaking internationally, and I think that was the most exciting. I'm great. I think we can end the show. That was it. That was
There
it
you
was
go, we're done.
wonderful. That we're done. The views are there. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
There you
So thank
go.
you for having me on.
Absolutely. Well, let's start with the fun stuff, right? Like, let's
Okay.
talk about with the 3,000 renovations that you've done. You have talked about some of the worst things you've ever seen. Give us a for instance.
Okay, walking into a vacant house and getting infested with fleas. Personally, had to have my car bombed because of that. Brought fleas home to my cat, had to have the cat shaved. That was crazy. Walking into a Stephen King-esque house in the country, wraparound porch and everything with a nice royal blue. You walk inside, no power. You turn around, you open the garage, and there's no lights in there, and you see a stack of body parts. It was a 6 foot stack of mannequin body parts there. How absolutely serial killer creepy is that? We had a bunker. It looked like a probably a storm cellar kind of thing up on a little hill in Florida. We don't have many hills, but in Central Florida there are some. Oh, no power. It was very narrow, maybe less than 24 inches wide. I'm pretty sure the clown It lives down there, and I absolutely refuse to go down there. I'm like, that's for other people to do. We're just gonna close this door back and pretend like I never saw it. And then all the way to the sad, I like dead bodies. There's a smell that never goes
What?
away when a body stays in a house for months. It's crazy. I also know how to identify if a suicide happened in a house, based on
No.
certain telltale figures. It gets gross. I've seen abandoned animals, which is always sad. I've
Oh.
seen memories in life, and kids' albums and wedding albums and toys just gone from people that they just felt they had to get away, get out. So I've seen the sad side of it. I've seen the crazy side. Somebody tapping in to the main power line before it got to their panel to power a drug house.
Mm.
Talk about the nightmare of working with utility engineers, which you can't just hire your own. You have to go to the utility that gets things done whenever the hell they want to get things done. And months of delays just so I can get power reconnected to the house so I can do construction. I mean, the stories, they could go on. One of my colleagues allegedly had a ghost in a house and had a crazy video of a door opening and closing and seemingly by itself in North Georgia. He refused to go back to the house. I mean, it's on and on and on and on and on. I've seen so much.
That is crazy. Well, what you just said gives me the heebie-jeebies, and anybody listening that's not ever been a part of this industry and haven't hasn't experienced anything like that, they probably are going to turn the podcast off right here. But
They
most
may.
of my listeners are pretty sophisticated, and there's a lot of newbies that are listening to this as well. What kind of things do you see newbie landlords, newbie construction people, real estate investors getting into this? They're making a lot of mistakes. What are the biggest things that you see, they're making blind spots there, they're just not seeing. What's your perspective on the newbie stuff?
Let's start with who you're getting advice from.
Oh,
Online advice, forums, they're all great. They're good basis of information. The Craigslist guy that says, yeah, this is probably okay, is not the best thing to do. Cheaping out on your inspections is a bad maneuver. If
mm,
you're pretty sure you're going to get the house, Your home inspection, oh, that'll cover everything. No, it doesn't cover your sewer lines. It doesn't cover your air conditioner. An air conditioner can be a $7,000 expense, and they force them to work just to get through that damned inspection. That way, when you close, it's working, and then all of a sudden, bam, there you go, $7,500 before you even turn the key. Having old pipes, specifically either Orangeburg, and we have replaced some of that, which was a long time ago, and cast iron is still prevalent in the southeast, especially. And it is all cast iron put into the ground is past its useful life in residential
Mhm.
areas now. That turns into a 15, 20, 25, $35,000 repair. Guess how you can prevent that? A $300 camera scope from a plumber. $300. $150 inspection on the AC can prevent you from $7,500 on replacements. But too many newbies are like, I got to do this cheaper. I got to do it cheaper. I got to do it cheaper. Then the other ones that use the substandard or unlicensed labor to get it done quicker and cheaper, then they call me and say, hey, they walked off. This job looks horrible. I can't do it. And then I get to hear how I don't have a budget to, do this right. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't do free work and I can't discount my rates because you chose incorrect at first. So I like to tell the newbies, hey, your first one or two, you may make less money. And that's like any business. Your first couple of turns and flips, you may lose a little bit of money. But if you hire the right professionals that understand your objective instead of just trying to sell you something, we're going to get you there further. I've done thousands in rental homes. I billions in construction. I know what's looking for. And just because you have a feeling that the open concept is just the way I feel it's got to be, the return might not be there. Leave the damn closed wall up. If it's going to cost you $30,000 to open it and you're not going to collect a dollar more in rent, leave it the way it is. This is not emotional. This is logical. You don't live there. Stop trying to. And stop letting that girlfriend that has a design flair pick out all the fixtures that are extremely expensive. This is a rental. If you're renting it for 2 grand, that is simple brush nickel fixtures right off the shelf at Home Depot. You because they're going to get broken or something's going to happen. Don't put in the $1,000 statement piece because I want to create a brand. Nobody cares about your brand.
Nobody.
Nobody. They care about the house. They
Nobody.
do not care about your brand.
No, and there's nothing wrong with any of the stuff off the shelf at Home Depot. There's nothing wrong with it. Um,
Nope.
one
Only
of the
only
things,
plumbing fixtures, I will say that. Go out with something a little bit higher grade because that can create leaks and things. And so
sure,
we only put like Moen or other type of faucets or fountains in just because
sure,
we don't want maintenance requests. But yeah, light fixtures, doorknobs, handles, doors, a lot of the other stuff. It
yeah,
looks great. It's functional. Go for it.
yeah. There's nothing wrong with it. Sometimes, yeah. That one of the things that I noticed is that you're getting multiple bids from multiple contractors, and some of them are materials in, some of them are not, some of them are, includes this, it doesn't include that, owner supply, blah blah blah, and it goes on. And so you've got two or three, ideally three contractor bids that, one will be 100,000, the other one will be 250, and the other one will be, 180. And it's like, well, I don't even know what to do with that. What do you take that? Like you walk in and you see that kind of stuff. I know you've seen it in this industry. How do you even evaluate those sitting side by side?
So
Because they're not the same.
they're not the same. So I had a potential client contact me, property in Sarasota. This was just recently. She gave me a scope of work. She created one. Okay, cool. Can you put it in my format? It's a pain in the butt, but we'll do it one time until we see, we're getting work or not getting work from this contractor. But regardless, my scope of work is generated how I would generate it no matter for any client. Then I'll take those numbers and feed them over. Okay. And that was an
Mhm.
AI prompt I was able to do, so I didn't have to do it manually, waste an hour of time. But I said, hey, I kind of disagree with some of your scope of work. She's like, what do you mean? They're like, this scope of work says to replace all the windows. There's only one bad window in this entire house. I'm like, that's a $30,000 swing you do not need. I said,
Right.
spend it on the bathroom. The bathroom needs to be completely reconfigured. It is the weirdest thing where the bathroom opens up to the kitchen and to a bedroom. Yeah, it's
Hello.
gross. I mean, like, it's strange. I'm like, spend the money there. Then they're like, reglaze it. I'm like, reglaze the tiles. Okay, I'm not opposed to reglazing tiles. What are you trying to sell the house for? Well, we'd like to get $450,000. I said, so you want to sell a $450,000 house with one awkward bathroom, it's a smaller square footage, and you want to reglaze your tiles? No. Mm-mm. Then they're like, just it's all two-pronged outlets. replace with GFCIs or three-pronged outlets. Well, the only way to do that is to
Right.
do a GFCI, which can be done in some circumstances, except it was cloth wiring. And I'm like, this is cloth wiring. We don't want to touch that. That's a fire hazard. It needs to be replaced. They said, oh, by the way, you're saying just put GFCIs in this. Did you know your bathrooms don't have outlets? What? You don't have
Like the whole
outlets.
bathroom, the like
Yeah, yeah,
nothing.
like there's one like the light fixture, the old school
Ha!
1940s when they used to put them up. It had one I'm like $450,000 and you're going to do that? No. Mm-mm. The air conditioner unit is a rooftop unit kind of haphazardly attached to the side of the house without proper ventilation or returns in the house. Like there's no way. So I mean, she thought it was going to come in at 125 and I was at 250. Then she
Oh
looks through
my.
my bid. She's like, "You're right. I had to send this back to all the other contractors." And I'm like, "Okay, good. At least we understand that if you want 450. Now, if you want to get 350 for this house, let's take all this crap out. Let's do this, this, and this." But here's one thing that she did do right is that she
Okay.
provided a standardized scope of work. What she did
Okay.
wrong is that she had just used another contractor's scope without the pricing. She won't share pricing between contractors
Right.
and had used their
Good.
scope of work. So she didn't actually create the scope of work, she just edited it a bit. My huge suggestion for landlords, for owners, for newbies or experienced is to write your own scope of work as you determine needs to be done and be specific. With AI, you can do that so quickly now. You can literally record voice notes on your phone, put it into your AI, and have it generate a standard scope of work. Double check and see if there's anything you're missing. And then double check, hey, you know what? It doesn't say anything about water heater, but that might look old. Or pro tip, ask it for suggestions. I'm a newbie landlord. I just purchased this house. I need to upgrade it to get a premium rental rate of whatever in this
Whatever.
area, zip code, whatever. And what should I be looking at very closely to make sure and include that in my scope of work. And then super pro tip, if you want the best scope of work, pay a contractor. Say, I don't want a free estimate. I want to pay you $500, $1,000. Go give me an accurate estimate of what this is going to cost.
Yep.
And then we're done. Either I'll use you or not use you, but at least I have another professional opinion to say, hey, this is the way we should look at this. Because a lot of times contractors can see things like if we rewired this particular house I was talking about, it's all paneling in the living room. It's drywall and plaster throughout the entire house except the living room. So I got to rewire. You can't cut into paneling. I'm like, and you're going to sell a house for $450,000 with paneling in it? Like, again, it's like that never
Yeah.
showed up on a scope anywhere. I'm like, you guys aren't thinking. Contractors can be very good at construction. They're not always good at seeing marketability.
Mm.
I have the experience on both sides of understanding the marketability. So make sure your contractor understands that because I've talked clients out of repairs. I've talked scopes down. I'm like, stop trying to do that. It's not worth your money. It's going to be a waste of time. And then stop trying to do last minute scope modifications after you bought the house. You
Yeah.
should have a good idea of what you want to do before so you're not caught off guard. Well, what if I had a third bathroom? 50 grand. Well, that seems like a lot. Oh, well, I have to have a third bathroom to rent this house. Why did you buy it? Why did you buy it without a scope of work before you went in? That kind of stuff. But contractors' time is scarce, and I would say one of the biggest things. If I have somebody that I know does not own a house, I will not give you an estimate. If you don't have title to the house, it will not happen because
Right.
I know you're just shopping me, and I have too much to do to just be shopped without at least being compensated for my time. So you want to be compensated for your time, and so do we.
Right. Well, it's that's what I always say, that the grief to dollars ratio has to work for everybody, and
Yeah,
it will temporarily stay off balance, but then it will right itself. And that's
it
from all
does.
sides. The grief to dollars ratio has to work. And unfortunately, we see a lot of newbie real estate investors just making big discussions. And if they just paid a little bit more money for that extra inspection, like you're suggesting,
Yeah.
let the experts be the experts. Like
Let
that's
them, and
the
then
whole
and you're
point.
going to get better at this. Like I walked through
Yeah.
one, and the tenant or the owner was mad at me, and I'm like, dude, you've got galvanized pipes, and you've got cloth wiring, and you got falling apart cast iron. You have to rip all this out, and you said you wanted to convert this garage into a bedroom, but you never talked to anybody. That's a completely different process, and you may not be approved in zoning for that.
Right.
And so people are making purchasing decisions based on feelings instead of facts. You cannot do that.
Yeah, that's one thing we talk a lot about on the show that you gotta it's gotta be fact based.
Yeah.
It's not emotional. Yeah. Speaking facts. No, I get it. It's amazing. But you dabbled in AI, you said it, so let's
Yes.
go there.
All right.
Um, how did a general contractor become an advanced prompt engineer for AI? Like how did that happen? Are you a big nerd like me? I think that's how it
I am.
happened.
Oh no, definitely a big nerd. Definitely a big nerd. I even traveled across country to see the interactive Star Trek exhibit at Universal Studios last year. So definitely nerd. Was the major introvert as a kid, the welfare glasses, the poor nerdy kid.
Oh, I
Got my
love it.
extrovert streak. Now I'm, public speaker and all that good jazz. There are no strangers to me anymore. Um, but AI is the future. And so I had to analyze my career. It kind of starts in near 2020, lost everything, almost lost my house, had to stand in a breadline. My mom got cancer. She passed away 2 years after that.
So
She was
sorry.
57 when she passed away. But I,
Oh my
you,
goodness.
I kind of had I want to say a midlife review before I was technically at midlife. Is this
Yeah.
what I want to do? And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm in construction. This is what I'm going to do. Um, so with that being said, I'm like, how am I going to do it differently? Because I see what every other contractor does. I joined a local business club. It's a high-end club, and I ended up getting involved. And I was like the only contractor up there. The contacts were incredible. Let's fast forward to actually answer your question because I'm not getting off topic, I promise. Um, how do I do things differently? Construction industry is slow to adapt to technological change. We have about 40% of the industry retiring in the next 5 years and not enough people to replace them. What does that mean when people of our age were told go to college, don't get your hands dirty, and all of a sudden here we are 20 years later, and nobody went to college for that or went to trade school for that, and plumbers are getting the same rate as attorneys without the debt. Okay. So we have to find better and faster ways to be nimble in construction. And AI is being held back in the construction industry by people that are about to retire and they are resistant to change. So I wanted to get ahead of it. So I started teaching myself. I mean, I'm even on the treadmill every Sunday when I'm on the treadmill. It's now YouTube videos about how other people are using AI, whether it's in construction or not. To the point where I got invited to speak in Helsinki, Finland, in an AI and construction conference to talk about estimation tech that my AI builder company is actually developing. We're trying to take what takes days and weeks down to seconds or minutes if we can. And I think it's very viable. And we're doing that from a contractor perspective, not from a techie, but
Hmm.
learning AI is more like learning how to teach an intern than it is learning about how to code something. It's about thinking about outside the box possibilities rather than the solutions. Stop trying to tell it what to do and tell it what you want to achieve. And so I became extremely good at prompting. Everybody's like, oh, it's just for Facebook. Oh, no, 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 no. Facebook, public relations, estimations, product selections, code research, arguments with insurance carriers for claims, reviewing insurance policies and giving me advice, creating notices, checking out the latest design guides and styles, creating my free download that is an advertising that converts higher quality leads by a free kitchen design that you download that was created out of chat, creating investor pitches to bring third party investors in through using my business plan, AI, and creating what look like $1,000 slideshows, creating a phone system with a knowledge base that you can call in and say, how much should this cost? Or what do you do in this area? And 24/7, it's answering questions rapidly without a call center agent trying to look it up or taking time out of our schedule if the person's not qualified. AI is here in every industry, whether you like it or not. And the people practicing what I call AI abstinence, just trying to ignore it and pretending it'll go away, doesn't work. Doesn't work. So let's do it ethically. Let's learn how to use it properly. Let's use how to supplement. Let's stop doing a lot of the menial tasks and actually focus on the cool, heavy duty thinking, critical thinking, investing, the human part of that.
I love it. Oh my goodness. Well, let's go back to the situation where you've got three bids, three scopes of work.
Yep.
The newbie landlord did not hire a contractor to do the estimating. They didn't do any of it. They just take those three estimates and they throw it into AI, which most people don't even know what that means. Where would they,
Yeah.
like, if I was going to throw it into AI and try to compare it and say, I'm a new landlord or I'm a new investor, what do I do with this? What's the best bid or like what would I even do with that? Three bids,
Yep.
go.
So let's talk about it. One is again another AI pro tip. Talk to your AI versus typing. You can do it 10 times faster, and it doesn't care about your misspellings or sentence structure. It doesn't.
Right.
It is able to use inference just like you or I would when we're proofreading something. Okay. You take your three estimates, you attach all three of them into chat at once, and you give it the prompt of something like this. I'm a landlord. I'm renting the house at this address. I need to prep it for rental. I want to attempt to get this rental rate. What I need you to do is I need you to act as a real estate professional, determine what is required in the home to get the rental rate that I'm looking to do. Review these three beds, compare them side by side, create a chart, and do your best to compare like items together, identify things that are missing, things that they may have missed, or things that may not be necessary, and give me advice on this, please. And hit send, and it'll take a little while. If you did it right, or you may have to massage that prompt a little more, it'll potentially give you three columns with the exact same line items all lined up so you can kind of see what each contractor is charging for what. It'll identify what's different, which is your most important thing, is what's
Mhm.
going on, what's different from this. Why did this contractor pick up a rewire when the other one's only doing GFCIs? Let me get into that and ask that $25,000 question, right?
Right.
And so it allows you to do the comparing of apples and oranges right away. But these are the most effective if you start with your prompt of these are the things I think I want to do and send that scope of work to the three contractors. That is the most. And send it in an Excel form that they can just fill out for you.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. And I love the idea. My husband's always saying, because I'm such a fast typer, because
Yeah.
that's what I've had to do for decades. And now he's like,
Yeah.
Jen, stop typing,
Yes.
talk into your phone. In fact, I'm working on a laptop, but I've got two phones here, and I talk into the phone, and I have to laugh because I can talk into the phone into the email, but Gmail doesn't have the talk to text
Yeah.
function right now, and I run off
Yep.
of Gmail. And I'm like, come on, Gmail, catch up, will you please? Because I literally, I'm talking with ChatGPT, Perplexity, Manus is my current favorite at the moment, but I'm hearing a lot about Claude. There's a bunch that I enjoy. And I just am like, this is what I'm doing. Like today, here's a perfect example: the RV park that I'm building here in
Yeah.
Canada, north of Vancouver. I realized the other day I didn't create a warning letter yet
Okay.
for residents who are getting out of hand, and they're tap dancing on the hey, I'm gonna out you, you're gonna have to
Yeah.
leave type of thing. But I need a warning letter, and so that's exactly what I'm gonna do. As soon as we hang up, I'm
Hmm.
gonna go into Manus and I'm gonna say this is what I need, but it's ultimately I want what I'm gonna say is I'm looking for cut and paste warning letter that I can put my logo on, or even I can put the logo in there and just make it easy cut and paste so that I have a standard template warning letter kind of thing. That's
Yeah, you could throw your lease into that too, saying review the
yes.
lease if there's language, and
Yep.
then give it the province, city that you're in, and
Yep.
tell it to make sure to comply with any local regulations that may be required, so that you're setting up your pre-notice if you have to do in that case an eviction. Maybe it's already can count, double count is almost like a pre-notice, whatever the laws are, because laws are different in everything.
Oh,
That's not to say to substitute for an attorney, and what you're doing is not an eviction. It's not really a legal thing,
right.
but AI is a great tool, but it is a tool, and tools can be used incorrectly. Just because I hand you a hammer doesn't mean you can build a house. It just
Well,
means you can
and
hold
that's
a hammer.
right. And even Michael's, my husband is very hard on things because he's a contractor as
Yeah,
well. Tommy, I bet you're hard on stuff too.
yeah,
And my saying when he does something and he just breaks it, like he'll break, like last week he broke a tooth off an excavator, a 300
yeah.
excavator. Like how in the hell do you do that?
Wow,
But I just
wow.
go,
I don't know.
why do you use a paintbrush when you can use a sledgehammer? Like
Yeah,
that's sort of my saying to him. In fact, I think you guys have met. You met at one of the conferences, but this is exactly the point: is that you have to train AI on what the ultimate outcome is, because otherwise, it will just do what you're asking it to do. That's not
yeah,
the ultimate outcome. Let it think for you, and just let it go. That's the best thing, is that we just let it do its work. It's pretty incredible.
yeah. Ask for an outcome. If you tell an intern to get you coffee and they bring coffee, do they know how to do it? They know how to bring you coffee. Do they know how you like it or what you're trying to accomplish?
That
Hey, I want to
right?
find a great coffee that has double sugar, double cream in it. And then you tell the intern, then the intern figures out, oh, the nearest coffee shop's this. I should go to do this. I should do that. If that intern figures it out, that's a very, very simplistic analogy, but AI is a similar way. And stop trying to be the genius when it is the genius. AI has an extremely high IQ, but it doesn't have an EC. It doesn't have or an EQ. It doesn't have an emotional intelligence to it, right? And so you got to just keep that in mind. And for all the people, for chat, for Claude, for Manus, for any of these other things, oh, that's a garbage answer. Well, if you were to give that prompt to a human, would they be able to very clearly understand what you wanted and
Right.
come back?
Right.
Oh, what? I guess not. And I'm like, no, the devil's in the details. You have to be so minuscule. The second prompt should be easier. The third prompt should be easier than that. It starts to learn from you. It's adaptive, which
Right.
is amazing. But, just don't give up with your first prompt and try simple stuff first and work your way up to more complex tasks. I mean, I have one that's programming apps right now, and I know nothing about coding. Nothing.
Yeah. Well, all of my Canadian listeners are saying, yeah, if you order a coffee in Canada and it's a double cream, double sugar, that's a Tim Hortons double double, right? So I know you didn't know that, but I know that because I'm in
I did
Canada.
not know that. I
Yeah,
did not
yeah.
know
But if you
Canadian
say a
coffee
double double
orders.
at In and Out, that means two patties and two cheeses. So
Okay, got it. All right. Well, look at our little geographic colloquialisms. That's awesome.
you got to have some context here. When you said the coffee with two creams and two sugars, I was like, oh yeah, here we go, Timmy Hose, here we go. Hey, I wanted
Funny
to.
in the South when you order tea, they look at you and I'm like, "Is it fresh brewed?" It is, but it's not sweet. But we can bring sugar for you. And I'm like, "I want black tea." That's okay. But every one of them are apologetic when they say it's not sweet.
It's so funny. Yeah, the
There's your Southern region thing.
tea comes in so many different versions. It's really funny. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, yeah, for sure. Well, hey, I wanted to ask you too. We're still talking about AI and the grief to dollars ratio, and we're talking about construction scope of work. We're talking about landlording, and I've mentioned warning letters and things like that. But how can we use AI as like the best return on investment for us? Especially, transparency, you and I are both into syndications, right? And so if we're going to throw stuff into AI, like we're talking things like pitch decks and
Yeah.
sales funnels and things like that. But like, tell me how you would spin it to do that, because I don't know.
Okay, so there's a bunch of different things. So I use Go High Level. We actually have an agency license because my marketing company will run agencies for other organizations. We use ChatGPT to write a very complex prompt. Listen to me. I'm going to say that again. We use ChatGPT to write a prompt, meaning I told ChatGPT some goals and objectives, asked it to act as a psychologist and a marketer uh, and create a prompt. It created its own prompt. I took that prompt, put it into Go High Level. There's a function called sites or funnels in there. It put it into that AI, and in seconds, it generated a beautiful sales funnel. All I had to do was change some images out. You won't get it right the first time or two, not a big deal. But we go all the way down to specifying color palettes, to using open loop psychology, to making sure that you are acting like a professional marketer, that you know how to convert. Where's the conversions? We want less drop off. What do we need to engage? Suggest the content. We get a very, very detailed prompt, and it's almost Mad Lib style now, where I only have to switch out a couple of things for the brand that I'm doing. That's a great way to use AI to create these sales funnels account, or just to create your listing. You want the listing to look nicer for your rental property, or you have five of them, or your agency if you're trying to manage or buy or submit a deal. You get that all the time. Hey, I got this great thing to buy. Well, submit it to my website I just created. So that's a cool way. Using AI, you mentioned graphics. So not everyone is as good at graphics. Some models are better than others. Funny that you should mention it. I just created a pitch deck with Manus. What I did though is I used my ChatGPT knowledge, my business plans, created an outline for the slides using chat, took that with the brand colors and my old pitch deck, put it over into Manus, said, hey, analyze my old pitch deck, grab information from this source, and I want this type of outline, and then it created a pitch deck that looks like it was a several $1,000 highly converting pitch deck, detailed numbers. I told it to make sure to specify what investors are really going to want to see. Show me this. It's showing bar charts of our revenue growing double year over year. It's showing gross profit, not net, because it's showing before EBITDA. It is showing all these details, and it all new to do that. And then I'm sending this because we're currently in a test the waters campaign. We're actually massively expanding, and so we'll be doing some fundraising here in the future. But we actually showed this to very, very high-end capital professionals. Who are like, oh my God, this is incredible.
And it
That's
probably
all
did
the
it
stuff
in
you do.
less than a half an hour.
Yeah,
or
yeah. It was 10 minutes. 10 minutes for
10
the slides
minutes?
and 10 minutes for 10 slides. It was fantastic. I made some minor modifications. It let me put it in PowerPoint and I could make the other little text concepts change. That was it. And
That's
so you can use
amazing.
it. So if you're trying to do a pitch deck for a property or you're trying to sell it, or you're trying to sell a group of properties, or you're wholesaling, you probably have some wholesalers on here.
Yeah.
Get your pictures, make your deck, and send the deck to somebody. How cool is that going to look? A one sheet is great, but what if you had a deck with all the proper pictures, and this is why you want to do this? And maybe the wholesaler goes the extra step of having a couple construction estimates in there and projected profitability. It looks much more serious when you're dealing with it. Whether you're fundraising for money, whether you're trying to sell something, whether you're trying to list something, your RV park, anything can be used for this. You just got to think, what do I send to my graphic designer? What could this work as? Would not use it to design permanent logos. Outlines of logos are great. Still use your graphic artist to do that properly. But basic handouts, sheets, graphic templates, that warning letter that you were
Clicks.
mentioning,
Yeah.
you can literally attach your logo to it and put it all into a PDF so it's print ready.
Yeah.
Um, all these things you can do, down to if you want to put certain sensitive information, if it's siloed properly, have it fill out credit apps for you. Have it fill out pro
Mm.
formas for you. Have it to help you analyze your forecast, generate all your transactions. Which was my most profitable deal and why? Who's my most expensive vendor? These are all different levels of AI and all different many ways that anybody can use these. These aren't $2,000 tools. A lot of this is $20 a month. Even at three of those models, $60. $60 and you get 100 hours of extra work in.
And
You
it's
want to talk about
way,
return on investment?
yeah, no
Yeah.
question. Well, and it's way more like you're not paying, there's no payroll for that. And so this is where the crux of the humanity part people start to fear because they're like, people are going to start not getting work. I'm not going to hire somebody because they're not as quick, they're not as skilled. I actually have to
Mhm.
pay them. They pay them a wage. And so now there's now a machine. The same thing happened when you had horse and buggy convert to
Yep.
cars,
Yep.
horse and plow convert to tractors. This is the
Mhm.
modern day conversion. It's happening. We're in it. And so it's
We're
now a
in.
matter of how do we deal with that? Now, one of the questions that let's talk about construction and AI. Let's continue this conversation. What is one thing that you see forecasting ahead that we don't have today, but you can see it on the horizon for futuristic technology in construction? What do you think?
I see much more comprehensive design and planning tools reaching
Okay,
into CAD, into SketchUp, and actually being able to generate construction documents based on Florida building code, international building code, whatever that code may be, in the local
right,
municipalities. I see better code information. Right now, if I'm going into a code like here in Florida, the municipal code is different from a multitude of things. So if I'm building the exact same house, I might have to look in six different municipal codes depending on which of the six municipalities I'm building in. Having a bot that would actually be able to say, okay, this address falls into this municipality based on this database. Let me pull all this information and do a quick report back. An architect can look through that in 2 seconds. That's what they live and breathe. Contractors are pretty decent at it too. But a sales agent, if he wants to know, can I build an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit on this property, instead of having to go through zoning and everything else, 80% of the questions can be answered by typing into his internal chatbot, not an external one, an internal chatbot. Can I build an ADU? And if so, what are the restrictions on this particular lot? And it should be able to, in the future, go pull all that information and be like, yes, this structure, you have an impervious surface area, minimum height, maximum height, flood zones, et cetera, in one
parking.
comprehensive
Yep,
parking requirements, whether you can rent or not rent, all those things
yep,
could be available to somebody in a few seconds. And that could be even great if an analysis tool if you're purchasing, because the numbers sometimes only make sense if you can get a third bathroom or you can get an addition or you can get this. But a third bathroom on a septic system may need a brand new septic tank of
right,
$16,000 on top of the 25 to $35,000 to replumb and do a new bathroom. So these are kinds of things that can help investors in the future analyze what's going on, and design, and maybe it's even better design tools that you can say, hey, I want to redo my layout like this, but I want to take this to my architect.
right,
You're not fully designing it, but you're giving a floor plan ready so that the nitty gritty is taken care of. And one of the fun facts that can actually help you make money right away is what are the latest design trends that are getting the highest rental rates? What are tenants looking like nationwide? What are tenants looking for in Massachusetts, in Hawaii, in Wyoming?
what's
Heated floors.
important?
What's important? Heated floors
Yeah,
in Wyoming? That's awesome. Heated floors in Florida? Hell no. Um, You know, carpet in Atlanta is great. Carpet in St. Pete Beach is not. Just
Right.
just understanding those trends if you don't know, especially if you're foreign to the market. Like you invest all over, and I'm sure there's property you've never even set foot in, and you have to rely on third-party contractors to understand this. This is another mechanism to double check the work. So if somebody's coming in and saying, "Hey, you really need to install carpet in the St. Pete Beach house," you can look up, wait a minute, St. Pete Beach is full of bugs, it's full of sand, it's full of salt water. The carpet will get destroyed by the time you install it.
Right.
Never ever do. Go with hard surface.
That is
But
so
but
funny.
warm carpet in New York is great. So,
Right, right, right.
it's just a way to help you increase your skill set without hiring an army of people.
That's really cool. Well, Tommy, I know you've got a podcast called Tommy's Toolbox. Tell us more about your podcast, what it's all about, and how we can listen to it.
Sure. So Tommy's Toolbox is easy to find on YouTube, but we're also on iHeartMedia, Spotify, iTunes, and many other streaming platforms. So the first couple of years of Tommy's Toolbox was community leaders, cool things going on in the Tampa Bay region. And now we continue that theme, but we've changed the format a little bit. And we also have a leadership edition. We actually are
Ooh.
interviewing political candidates, current office holders, major CEOs and executives around the regions and just cool people all the way around. Like I understand there might be a nuclear propulsion technician on my show one day, and so we got to negotiate with her agent and see the terms and everything. I hear she's exclusive, but it's just sometimes it's one-off business opportunities that are out there, and you never know how cool things connect.
Well, and I think that's a good caption to life in general. Tell us, I know you're working on all kinds of stuff, but what kind of stuff is Tomco, your company Tomco, working on? Anything exciting?
Yeah, so first and foremost, we're really trying to get stronger into the affordable housing market. I grew up pretty poor. Being in that space is important. Working with nonprofits to both help them fundraise with our media arm to pay for the construction arm and then let them do their work. That's pretty exciting that nobody's doing. And as I think I mentioned earlier in the conversation, we are actually doing a test the waters. So we're looking for investors, especially ones that have or want operations in Florida and would love to be part of a construction company that could help them analyze, grow, and scale much faster. Imagine having, that expertise at your fingertips because you're an equity holder partially in the construction company versus some stranger. My success is your success kind of thing. And so, we just kind of started testing the waters on that, but we're very advantageous. We've doubled revenue year over year. We've got amazing
So
public
cool.
relations profile. We've spoken internationally, major construction companies. We're doing all the things that the next generation of construction companies should be doing, and in a couple of years will be, but we're just a little ahead of the game.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Well, Tommy, thank you so much for joining us today. I have to laugh because you and I nerded out so hard in our prep call for this show.
We did. We
I,
did.
yeah, we did. I don't think we nerded out quite as much on the air, but that's okay because
Yeah, yeah.
in the event I jump over onto Tommy's toolbox, I'm sure we'll nerd out there.
We
But I
can figure
super
that out.
appreciate
Absolutely.
all your stuff about AI and everywhere you're going because you're walking the walk and what you're doing is you're laying the foundation for all of us to come in and ultimately buy your product that you're creating, which is really cool.
Absolutely.
Any parting thoughts, please, Tommy?
Feel free to connect. I love to connect to people on LinkedIn to see what's going on. So Tommy Whitehead, TommyWhitehead.com is my website with all the socials on it. And then you can always check out our construction division at TomcoSolutions.com. But happy to make calls with people that are looking to get further into investment or make their portfolio better. It's always a wave, and we're probably coming up to another one. And the worst economic times can yield the best profits if you're properly prepared. So if we go through that phase, be prepared. If not, you've got a lot of people in your back pocket to keep you afloat. So love to connect with people.
I love it. That's great. Thanks so much for being with us today. That's awesome.